Hello and welcome to Federal Flash. I'm Philip Lovell and I'm joined by Nikki McKinney. Funding for education takes center stage in this week's Flash, with Congress reaching a deal to fund the federal government through September 30th and Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos testifying on Capitol Hill. Nikki, what can you tell us about congressional action on the budget?
Well, Philip, Congress has agreed to a $1.3 trillion appropriations bill to fund the government through September 30th. As we've reported in previous flashes, funding for the government was set to expire at midnight tonight, but Congress moved quickly to pass the bill and avoid another government shutdown. Overall, Congress increased the funding for the Department of Education by $3.9 billion. Among the increases were an additional $700 million for a total of $1.1 billion for Title IV-A of the Every Student Succeeds Act, also known as the Student Support and Academic Enrichment Grants. Funds in this program can be used to support advanced coursework, access to technology, and safe schools. The program became popular among lawmakers looking to show a response to the school shooting in Parkland. Other programs receiving increases were Title I state grants, which help support education of students from low-income families and received an increase of $300 million. Special education grants received a $275 million increase. Career and technical education state grants received an increase of $75 million. If you'd like to see all of the details, visit the link below to read the more than 2,000 pages of the omnibus.
Thanks, Nikki. One important policy missing in all of these pages is a resolution to the fight over immigration policy. Unfortunately, the bill did not include a legislative fix for Dreamers. And much to everyone's surprise, President Trump issued a veto threat via Twitter on the morning of March 23rd, saying, quote, "I am considering a veto of the omnibus spending bill based on the fact that the 800,000 plus DACA recipients have been totally abandoned by the Democrats, not even mentioned in the bill, and the border wall, which is desperately needed for our national defense, is not fully funded," end quote. The tweet was surprising for at least two reasons. One, it left open the possibility of a government shutdown, especially considering that most lawmakers have already left Washington for a 2-week recess. And two, it fails to recognize the fact that these students' futures are in peril simply because President Trump chose to end the DACA program in the first place.
As Congress was putting the finishing touches on the fiscal year 2018 budget, Secretary DeVos testified before House appropriators on the department's budget for fiscal year 2019. Members of the committee asked the Secretary a range of questions, touching on school safety in the light of the shootings in Florida and Maryland, racial disparities in suspensions and expulsions, and impact aid. There wasn't much, if anything, that Democrats and the Secretary could agree upon, and there wasn't much, if anything, that Republicans were willing to disagree and/or press her on. If you support Secretary DeVos, you probably thought she fared well and stayed on message. If you don't, you were probably left feeling frustrated by some of her answers. Visit the link below to view the hearing in its entirety.
Finally, tomorrow, March 24th, thousands of students and their supporters are expected to descend upon Washington, D.C. in the March for Our Lives. Born out of the student movement following the shooting in Parkland, this march follows student protests outside of the Florida State Capitol and the National School Walkout on March 14th. Antonino, a senior at Democracy Prep Charter High School in Harlem, shared his reasons for marching with his classmates tomorrow.
I march because we cannot effectively bring change unless we all come together and work to find a solution.
The Alliance for Excellent Education supports Antonino and every student in America and across the country fighting for common sense measures to keep our nation's school children safe. Access the link below to read Alfred's statement on gun violence in America's schools and communities and to find out how to support the march on Saturday. That's all for now. For an alert when the next episode of Federal Flash is available, email us at alliance@allfored.org. Thanks for watching.
Federal Flash is the Alliance for Excellent Education's video series on important developments in education policy in Washington, D.C. in 5 minutes or less.